Hey, John, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Nice weekend.
Yeah, it's very nice. Football filled.
Nice.
Yeah.
Big win?
No.
No?
I mean, big win for UE. Beat Vestal Friday night, but Benny's team lost yesterday, so that was a bummer.
Got it.
Happy birthday, Natalie.
Oh, thank you. Shh, Stacy.
Happy birthday.
I don't have those anymore. Thank you.
No, they're just fixed in time, that's all.
Yeah, nothing changes, I'm still
Exactly.
making lunches, doing laundry,
Yeah.
And someday when you're not, you're gonna regret it. Trust me.
You're right. You're right.
I turned it off so.
Oh, okay. Nat, the kids are already talking about the big rivalry game.
Oh, we can't wait.
UE
Can't find them.
Yeah, Friday night.
game.
These the attachments or the?
That
No, it's
is,
yours.
no, yes. Do you need some, I can print anything out?
No, I got them online, I just didn't know.
You eat hoop right?
Me and well, so I'm in ME and Nat's in UE, yeah.
I'm good.
Mhm.
What's for lunch, Joe?
Good sandwich. John, you're missing the good ones.
Red and white, we got red and white.
None of this healthy. Good stuff.
Parents' weekend looked like it was a success.
It was, except I went to my own daughter's parent weekend.
Oh,
so
how's she doing?
She's doing great.
Yeah,
So,
that's good.
Where was that?
St. Lawrence.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Brian, I have to tell you, I worked at the Hampton this week. I do part-time front desk work for a friend.
Oh, yeah?
And they were the nicest group of parents I've seen in a long time. They
Really?
were really just great people. They really were.
You don't
really
always
nice
get
people.
that.
No, I mean,
No.
there are others, by the way, but.
They only call Brian.
But no, the people that come in for parents' weekend are delighted that everything is in person.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, they were very nice. There are times where I would threaten not to work at parents' weekend.
yeah.
This one was very
I think
lovely.
people were, yeah, they had the
Lovely
bridge
group of
run
people.
over the weekend. Everybody was in a great mood just to be.
Well, the
doing
weather was
stuff
so
again.
beautiful.
It was.
It was just a perfect weekend.
It was nice.
Spectacular.
We are good to go, so I'll hit the record button and. get started.
All right, you're called. It's all yours.
Good afternoon, September 27th, 12 p.m. I'd like to call the Audit and Finance Committee of the Broome County Industrial Development Agency to order. Item on the agenda is to accept the transcript of the March 17th, 2021 Audit and Finance Committee meeting. Everyone's got a chance to review. I'd look for a motion to accept.
I'll move the acceptance of the transcript.
Second. Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I'd like to bring the public comment meeting. If anyone wants to speak, please state your name, address, and 5 minutes. Hearing none, seeing none. Close the public comment portion to a close. New business. Stacy.
Okay, thank you all. Good afternoon. So we are meeting today to look at essentially the first draft of the 2022 proposed Broome County IDA budget. Some of this will be refresher for you all, but as a reminder, per New York State law and the authority's budget office, we are required as a public authority to have our budget approved and submitted by October, no later than October 31st. So the intention will be upon the first review today. I do expect we will have to have another meeting, short finance committee meeting before the October 20th board meeting, and I'll explain why in a few minutes. But so what I'd like to do is just review the plans for 2022. I did submit the email, just a budget narrative that I'm going to quickly walk through, but it's relatively conservative budget. The proposed budget includes a budgeting approach that's based on realistic and anticipated projections for annual income, both from large projects that have been approved in the last 3 years and also a conservative approach in 2022 on our leaseback fees, mostly given to continued unknowns from COVID and potential implementation of prevailing wage, and see if that directs any thing related to the pace of activity. So on the expense side, as I'll get into in more detail, it's remained essentially flat for 2022. So I'm going to walk through the items for income first. Land and building income, that is income we derive mostly through the holding of any land or buildings that we hold mortgages on and or lease. But also what we do put in here are pilot fees that are significant enough that we feel that terming them out, or we've made a negotiation with a developer to term those payments out over a period of time. So there are a number of those in there. So I'm going to walk through each item. Please stop me during, or I can go through the whole income side and we can have a Q&A if you'd like to do it that way. For 265 Industrial Park Drive, you see the end of the year estimate there, that we did hold the mortgage on that until this year. We have been paid in full on that mortgage. So moving forward, that line will be eliminated. However, I will make a recommendation towards the end of the presentation today on the reallocation of those sales proceeds to a project related expense in 2022. Northland Power, which you'll see on the budget as Bluestone or Bluestone Wind Project, will begin their annual payments. If you recall, we approved a 20-year pilot. The fee is based on $250,000 in payment in 2021, which has been made, and beginning in 2022 of $94,058. So that will be annual operating income coming into the organization beginning next year. We anticipate the potential for the breakout of payments connected to other projects. Specifically, we're looking at the Spark JC that the board approved, the Oakdale Mall, Oakdale Commons as it's being proposed, as well as potential development of the former 265, the building that is no longer there. We're working with 42 Development Associates on a potential pilot there. As such, we've projected some income there, but we'll know more probably by the October meeting on that one. The ADEC mortgage remains flat through 2022. Canopy, we have an agreement with Canopy Growth Corporation for 6 years of annual payments of $100,000. So we have budgeted that in as annual operating income. You will see a decrease in the 5 South College Drive tenant leases of about $7,200. That's the equivalent of one of our single offices on the second floor. That office was formerly being rented by Pursuit Lending. Their representative for the region has left the organization, and as such, they felt no need to retain the office presence in Binghamton. But we are actively seeking new tenants for that. Just a quick note, 2022 will be the last year in which the tenant leases will expire at the end of 2022. So our tenant agreements with the Chamber, with Alliance for Manufacturing and Technology and other tenants will be reviewed this time next year. Let's see, miscellaneous income is we've kept the same. That's typically income we receive from things like participation with grant administration and other such things. Solar City is a term payment with Broome County government. That is a 10-year payment, and I think we are in year 4 or 5 of that.
I think it was 5
years. So that's a one-time annual payment that we receive from the county, and that is for the solar farm, the solar array that's located in the Broome Corporate Park. So with that, I'll just entertain any questions on income derived from land and buildings at this point in time.
One quick question on income. So there are two or three, I think three pieces of litigation. And there's some receivables there. How do we account for those, or do we?
We have not budgeted per recommendations from Joe.
Okay.
If there is a receivable, that would likely come through, just most likely a non-operating, reserve payment.
Okay.
But we feel confident that there was no need to budget for that this year or into next year. So on IDA fees, that is our agency fee that is related to pilot schedules that are approved by the organization. We've maintained in 2021, 615,000. Two closings are pending. That is the 59 Lester Ave and Paulus Development. Paperwork has been submitted and is under review, and we expect to close that before year's end. And as well, Cashews project, which is the Greater Binghamton Sports Complex, that will also close. The one I am not confident will close in 2021, although we're going back and forth, is the Altura, the Endicott project, but we're in continued communication on that one. With that, our year-end projections for revenue derived from sale leaseback fees is slightly above our projections at 670, 985. So just to stay conservative, as I mentioned before, with some unknowns, I'm keeping that line flat. We're recommending we keep that flat. Loan fund administration is pretty spot on an annual basis. That's the interest that the IDA is able to retain from loan clients. And so we've maintained that at 35,000. Bank interest, we continue to do well, but we keep that number conservative at $90,000. So with all of those combined, we expect a total income in 2022 of $1,303,795. If there's any questions with that. Okay. So moving on to expenses, I'll start with administration. Beginning with salaries, you'll see a total proposed of $482,520. Currently, there are 7 staff members with the IDA. That $20,000 is an up to or not to exceed amount. If you recall from conversations last year, the board recommended that an amount be allocated towards salary adjustments and salary increases. And that were based on performance assessments, which are ongoing now. And so for the October meeting, I will have those completed with recommendations. The one thing it does not, that the 20,000 does not include, would actually be related to my salary. And that is because as a contractual employee, my contract will term out in June of 2022, so halfway through the 2022 budget year. As such, I've spoken with Jim Peduto, who chairs our personnel committee, with regard to holding a personnel committee meeting for the discussion of a contract extension and any potential salary and benefit adjustments related to that. So that would be the reason why we will need to have one more meeting before October 20th. We're already looking at the week of the 11th, so I'll be reaching out to the committee to confirm some dates. As well, we'll do a personnel committee meeting as well. So that line item, that line could be adjusted, which is why we need to have that second meeting.
Your salary's in the.
It is, yes, but just this year, that year over change is not.
So do you, we get a reimbursement from
We
the
do.
chamber? Okay.
Yeah,
Do
so
you
we-
show that as an offset or
We
income?
do. Therese, remind me where I don't think it's
It's
shown
actually-
here, but it's in our, how do we show that?
Well,
Remind me.
it's shown in this number, because what we do is we invoice them every month for it, and then they
Okay.
pay us, so it actually comes right out of the salary line.
So,
So
right.
you net it,
Yes.
right?
Thank
Yeah,
you.
okay,
That's
good,
good.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
And then just a note, you'll see a difference from the approved to the revised 2021 budget under the benefits line. That new number, the 212, is based on the 200, 749. Last year, we had estimated 72,000 should the board pursue the New York State pension plan. We did remove that following last year's budget discussion, and we've moved that into business development, which I'll talk about in a moment. So that 212 is based on the 200, 749 there. With that, not a lot of significant changes on the administration items. Office expenses, we actually see a little bit of a net reduction due to some adjustments with things like insurance on properties that we hold. Audit, we did confirm with Sarah a slight reduction in our audit expenses and equipment repair expenses. Business development, as I mentioned, during last year's budget discussions, we reallocated that 72,000 to our advertising line. I'm making the recommendation that we maintain that budget and maintain that 167,000 for the total business development budget. Most of that is with relationship to our advertising. This is specifically related to things like our site development series, our digital development series. They're performing really well. I think there is a correlation that we're looking at with inquiries on projects and project development. So we're recommending that remain flat for next year. 5 South College Drive expenses. As I noted on the income side, we have lost one tenant. We are actively seeking a new tenant to fill that space. We did see some budget overages, mostly related to COVID-related expenses, namely cleaning. We did a lot more of intensive cleaning during the first half of 2021. We have picked up some of that, not the frequency, but we do I think once a month or at least twice a month. We do the more intensive cleaning just to keep the building safe, and but we expect that we can hold the line on expenses and secure a new tenant for next year. So with all of that, net operating income is expected to be just over $100,000, which falls in line with previous years' historic. So any questions on the IDA budget at this point?
The answer may be that it goes on to the LDC budget. But the work that we're having done, I don't remember the name of the group that, as we look at potential sites for big development, Airport Road, Windsor, and so on and so forth, where do those expenses show?
That's actually my next line item there.
Okay.
So we put it just below the operating budget. You'll see added this for this year, this coming year for 2022. What we're recommending is that we take the sales proceeds from the 265 Industrial Park Drive mortgage, that we put those into an IDA capital expenditures line that would basically zero out income and expense at $3 million there. That would be used for the findings of our site development inquiries. That would be used for things like appraisals, land purchases, and civil engineering reviews and studies. We've paid for those studies that done thus far,
right,
through some income received from investment maturities.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so you're reinvesting.
Mhm.
That's good.
Mhm. So so those monies, typically what happens is NBT will say, you have this investment maturing, do you have use for the funds? We had set aside, I think it was in 2019,
Yeah.
about $125,000, of which we've spent mostly on that site inventory. I think there's about $52,000 left in there. So it doesn't show up in the budget as you see presented, but the expenditures moving forward would come out of that line. Questions on the IDA budget?
Well, because we're gonna have another meeting, do you normally get a motion to approve to recommend for the budget?
I
or-
think you could recommend as is pending, the final approval. Yeah, I mean, I think today's purpose was to identify if there were any changes.
You might want to approve it contingent
Contingent
on
upon,
the personnel committee's
Yeah.
Review of the budget and recommendation for any increase with Stacy. That would give you the final amount added to this.
Right, right, okay. There aren't any other questions, I'll look for a motion to approve the tentative budget pending. Personnel Committee.
So move.
Second,
I'll second.
favor, aye. Opposed. Business,
I don't even-
look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor.
So can we stay in the same Zoom? You just gotta stop and start.
Yeah, and I can bring over.
Okay.
Or Brendan, if anyone else gets in on the meeting,
There's a phone number, I'll tell you, but I don't know who it is.
oh, there's a phone number? Yeah, okay. Mystery persons, right?
You could ask the phone number to identify themselves, but then you ask them to unmute themselves, which is.
Well, do we need that for minutes?
I probably should put it on, yes. if
Probably
somebody-
should find out who that is for minutes, for attendees.
Yeah,
It's a good thing that you got there on the screen.
and
Does that
then
come
me,
with Zoom?
No, that's this thing, this meeting owl camera.
Oh, that thing.
Yeah,
Oh, I was
so
gonna
it,
say.
yep, it's like a 360-degree view.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I've never been on a Zoom one like that.
Yeah, kind of neat.
And they got everybody but you in that view. Oh, there you
Just, I'm looking back.
Oh, there you
There
are.
you go.
There.
Meeting now, huh?
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, this is about the size of our conference table, that'd be nice to have.
It's nice, yeah. It gets a lot of use between the chamber uses that we use that, yeah, it's handy. Now
Can
with everything
the
being Hybrid.
person on the phone identify themselves, please?
muted. Maybe they can type.
They're on the phone.
Oh, right.
This is Ron Parsons.
I think
This is
you-
Ron Parsons.
He's pre-checking our audio.
I did ask him to, yes.
All right. Once again, once you hear the recording is started, you're free to go.
Can you go live even though the meeting was scheduled for 12:30? Or do you have to wait 8 minutes?
Good point, John.
Thank you, John. Let's track of time.
That's the only reason I'm here is to watch the clock, by the way.
What's the time, everybody?
Because I've heard Stacy's speech twice already before this, so.
He's the old pro, he's done this a few times, huh? So he knows.
Once or twice,
Ah,
but not as many times as you, Joe.
I don't know.
I think he wants to wait till this. fall, you know.
I could never be an actor. I can't do the same performance more than once. So,
Yeah.
Cool ground.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there'll never be another case. It's still good.
You're the COVID side.
Yeah, yeah.
Yours. Hang on a second. What did I do?
Did you understand?
Hang on a second. I think I'm.
12:30.
Start the recording.
Good afternoon. It is September 27th, 2021, 12:30 PM. I'd like to call the County Local Development Corporation Audit and Finance Committee meeting to order. This item is to accept the transcript from the March 17th, 2021 Audit and Finance Committee meeting. Everyone's had a chance to review. Look for a motion to accept.
I'll move acceptance of the transcript.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I'd like to open the public comment portion of this meeting. If you wish to speak, please state your name, address, and limit your comments to 5 minutes. Hearing none, I'd like to close this portion of the meeting. Close. New business, Stacy.
Okay, thank you. So the LDC budget, as proposed in front of you, includes the continuation of annual income that we mostly derive through grants and annual project payments. This is a refresher. The LDC is our tool in which we can do conduit debt through tax exempt bond financing. Most notably through UHS, most recently with our project in 2019. We've again taken a conservative but realistic approach towards income projections as well as expenditures. I'll go through the budget line by line, and then also too, I wanted to just give you an update generally on the cash flow and the health of the organization. So you see under income, we have been very successful for, I think we're going on at least 5 years now of participation from NYSEG through their Economic Development Community Outreach Grant Program. So basically they provide up to 50% of our budget through the form of a grant. This has been a great vehicle for us to use the LDC as the vehicle to promote the Good Life program, most notably. So we expect, and we've already been in conversations with NYSEG about participation in 2022. So we budgeted another $75,000 in income there. Good Shepherd Fairview Home, that is the 2015 bond refinancing payment from them, from that project from 2015. So they provide us $23,675 on an annual basis. Now, as you know, we are working with Good Shepherd on another bond refinance, potentially. If that project moves forward, two options: we could receive a lump sum payment, or we can term that payment out similarly as we've done with this one. So this could change, but I wanted to stay conservative and just say, all things being equal, let's assume if the project doesn't move forward, we're still due that $23,675.
And if the project does move forward,
That like,
this goes away and you get the new fee, or?
yeah, so it's a question of, we've not had any conversations about a lump sum payment versus a term payment. I always like the term in some situations because it just gives us that annual operating income. So assuming we term this out, this payment could potentially go up over a 10-year term. Total project costs are estimated, or agency fee, I should say, LDC fee is estimated to be about $550,000. So assume we break that out over 10 years, that payment could potentially go up. So, but I wanted, for purposes of budgeting, to remain conservative on that payment. CDBG admin fee is a new income stream for 2022. I think I noted in email we were successful. The county planning office did an application to the state for it was part of a federal stimulus package for CDBG community development block grant monies. We applied with the county for $1 million to administer small business grants locally. We were successful in that grant award. We would be eligible to keep about 5% of that, or $50,000. We can place that either in the IDA or the LDC. Given the flexibility of requirements with LDC, we plan to park that money in the LDC. So our total revenue would be 148,675 for 2022. Or total income there. So expenses haven't changed dramatically. There is at least one addition. We have maintained, well, we've gone back on the, if you see the marketing, the Dick's Open line, we have historically provided about $30,000 in support to that during the pandemic because the event was downsized significantly. We still made some a sponsorship offering, but we did reduce that. But we are recommending to go back to the $30,000 of support for that event. We have maintained $25,000. So I shouldn't say we've maintained, we've reduced advertising specifically for the Good Life to $25,000. The reason being, you'll see a new line item of $25,000 for Leadership Alliance marketing. So what we're proposing is that we split some of our advertising costs among the two. The reason being is that we are going to engage with a marketing firm to help us build a stronger marketing presence of the Leadership Alliance itself. So we're going to be working with ABC Creative on the development of a communication strategy that encompasses the IDA, the agency, the chamber, and Visit Binghamton. As such, we're in conversation. I'm in conversations on the chamber side for $25,000 commitment over 3 years to contribute to that program. So this will be, marketing of the Leadership Alliance more broadly versus individual marketing campaign efforts. The Good Life marketing community sponsorships. So we do try to use the Good Life marketing dollars towards supporting smaller local events, smaller, arts events, sporting events, events that nonprofits are holding, fundraisers. So we are suggesting to keep $30,000 in there. Our professional services lines going down a little bit because it's mostly website management that we pay for now of the Broome is Good site. So all in total, our expense expected to be about $117,500. So we expect to have operating income of about $31,000, $31,175. So any questions on that? And I did want to just mention, I wanted to just give you an update on the overall kind of the cash health of the organization. In 2019, we did receive a $350,000 payment from UHS for the issuance of bonds for their Wilson renovation. That was a lump sum payment. Yeah, that was a lump sum payment. So currently, we are at about just shy of $436,000, and it's right now parked in our regular checking account. What we're recommending is putting that into a money market account, about $350, leaving some in our checking to be a little nimble, but moving that, we're going to start researching some better interest bearing accounts, maybe a money market with NBT or some other resources. We did look at our ability to park any of our dollars with credit unions. We are currently restricted per New York State law. We are confirming with the LDC. We know that for a fact with IDAs because of the current law, but we are looking at where we can park that money and earn the best interest on it.
There's separate regs for LDC and IDA.
That's what we're waiting to hear back from Sarah. Yeah, so in that situation, the IDA, in some situations, but not all, the IDA could be considered a municipality under state law. So we're quasi-governmental. There are some instances where we're viewed at by the state as a municipal entity, and others where we're not. This is one of those situations where we're we're viewed as a municipality in the same regard, so we cannot put, there was some legislation proposed to change that, but it did not move forward. So we are checking with the LDC because we don't know for sure.
Leslie, our lead auditor,
Yeah.
the person who runs our audit, is going to be checking on the LDC. She already did confirm the IDA could not.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, I mean, it's not something that motivates me deeply, honestly, but what's the rationale behind that? What are they trying to achieve by saying you can put it in a commercial bank, but you can't?
Can't put it, I think, I think it was something that when credit unions were first being developed, I think there was an issue of stability and security and viability of the entities
Okay.
themselves. I know that the proposal in 2019, I think it was lobbied, the financial institutions lobbied pretty hard against.
Sure, that makes sense at that
Yeah,
point, I get it.
yeah.
I was just wondering kind of where it came from initially. I mean, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
And
There's
I,
always the big battle between credit
Yeah.
unions, not paying taxes and banks paying.
Right.
That's always.
yeah, and if I'm a credit union, I'd argue, well, but we can't get this. Yeah, we may not be paying taxes, but we're not able to take this kind of investments, and so we're restricted in that regard, but I should know, is it an issue of FDIC? And it's not that, I didn't
No.
think so.
No, it's just that the last time in 2019, it was pretty much the
Yeah.
bank lobby just didn't want it to happen.
Kind of squash it.
Yeah, that would make sense in modern day. I'm just curious, like way back
The
in,
investment,
when-
yeah.
This is something on the books. that
I
we never
think it was
take
just
up.
the viability and probably the capital raised by the credit unions. I think maybe it just felt like they were too risky.
Well, that proves
risky at the
prescient, because
time.
no bank ever went into any trouble.
I know, right? No banks ever, yeah, so,
I
but
see
yeah.
Ty's been talking to you.
Oh, I got stuff for him too.
Yeah.
So they said they're charging commercial rates even though they're tax free. Come on.
Yeah, right, yeah. But generally, I mean, the good news is, I think that's the largest sort of cash reserve the LDC's had and that I recall, so
Ever.
it's ever, so, and then with the, assuming we move forward with the refinance for Good Shepherd, we'll continue to build, and I know that was one of our strategic objectives, was continue to build sort of the capacity of each entity and not just focus on the IDA, but how can we build capacity and in the LDC. And the nice thing about those reserves is should we ever need them, they are a little more flexible than IDA monies, so we'll continue to try to build that. And that's all I need.
Thanks, Stacy.
Mhm.
Look for a motion to move the proposed budget of the LDC to the full board for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. So yeah, I will reach out to you all. We're tentatively looking at for a final audit